Greetings to everyone. In this short video, I will show you how we can build our full stack app with frontend and backend using Laravel and Vue.js. So let's begin. And the first thing that we are going to do is creating a new Laravel app. So open your terminal and type the next command. So you can see my terminal and I'm typing composer, create a dash project, Laravel. So now I typing that I want to create a Laravel app, and now I need to type name of the folder where I'm gonna store my project, and it will be backend blog. So in this folder I'm gonna store my Laravel app, and we're gonna build here backend part of the app. So let's wait until creation process will be finished. Okay, great. Now we need to open this project in the CRUD editor. First of all, we need to connect our app to the database. So before you're gonna do this, don't forget to create a database for your app. I already have a database for my app, so now I'm gonna open a .env file and I'm gonna type credentials for database connection. So I open my .env file and we go to the database connection variables, and here I'm gonna type blog tutorial. This is name of my database. Password is root because I'm using mom server. And here I need also type port of the database server. Yeah. Here you need to put your credentials to the database, and we can continue our tutorial. If you configured your .env file, it's time to create a new model. This model will be responsible for posts in the app, and I'm gonna name this model post. So now I'm gonna type the next command in my terminal. PHP artisan make model post, and here we need also -m flag because we want also to create a migration for this model. So I press enter. So model is created successfully, and that means that we now can go to the migration, and we can define fields that will be in the post table. Okay, so first field that I want to add to this table, it will be title of the post. So I type here string title, and next field it will have text type, and it's gonna be named content. And also our post will have images, so I'm gonna create a new field that is named image, and this field can be new label because some posts can have images, some can't. And I'm gonna create the last field. So the last field will have for agent ID for type, and it will be responsible for the user ID that is in user table. So here I'm gonna type user model, user class, and I'm gonna type name of the field, and it's gonna be named user ID, and it's gonna be also new label. And here I need to also import my user model, and that's all that we need for now for the posts table, and we can now migrate. So I'm gonna type here PHP artisan migrate. As you can see, all migrated successfully, and that means that we can start now building out controller that will create a API resource for authorization, and soon we're gonna also create also post controller that we're gonna use to create another API resource for creating posts and many other things. So as I said, now we need to create a new controller that will be named out controller. So I type PHP artisan make controller out controller. Great. Now let's open this file. Okay, first let's import user model. Okay, and first we're gonna write register function. In the register function, we need to create a request variable because we want to get some data from the request, and we're gonna get this data by this way. So I'm gonna create a new variable named data, and after that I'm gonna call validate function from the request variable, and here inside this array I'm gonna write rules for that data validations that we're gonna get from the request. So first I want to validate name field, so it will be required and it will have string type. Second field, this is email, and here I want to make this field required. This field will also have email type and string type, and as you can see I typed that this is unique field because only one user can have one email, so we can't create two users that use only same email. Okay, and now I want to validate password field, and here I'm gonna just type that this is required field. Okay, and now let's create a new user. We're gonna call create a function from the user model, and now I'm gonna type that this user will have name from the data variable that now have all this data validated by validate function that we called from the request variable, and email we also get from the data variable, and password we also get from the data variable, but here I'm going to call bcrypt function because I want to encode this password for security. And I type here data password. Great. So this will create a new user. Now we need to create a new token. So I'm going to create a new variable named token, and I'm gonna call user variable, and by using user variable I'm gonna type create a token that will have name main, and I'm gonna get this token by typing plain text token. Great. And now I'm gonna return all this stuff in new response. We can also maybe we can also return here code of the response, so it's gonna be 201. Okay, and I'm gonna return new user, and I'm gonna return token. Okay, this looks great. Now let's try to create a new user, but before we gonna test this, we need to go to the roads folder, and we need to open api.php file. And here we need to create a new road that will have name register. And as you can see here, I'm typing post request. Let's also import out controller here. So I'm going to type app/http controllers/out controller. Okay. And now I'm going to type that I want to, when I make request to the API/register route, I want to call here register function. Great. So now we can open Postman and test this request. And don't forget also to start your local server of the app. So type php artisan server. Okay, so now I'm in the Postman, and I can create a new post request, and I'm gonna type here http localhost and port API and register, and I'm gonna also add a fifth header, so content. First I want to create a accept parameter here, and it's gonna accept application.json, and content type also it will be application.json. Okay, and now let's create a body of the request, and I'm gonna type here first name, and name it will be maybe type some random name, Mike for example, and email mike@example.com, and let's also type here password. I don't know, maybe we can try to create some crazy passwords that will be looks like this. Okay, and now send it, and as you can see, our user is created, and we have authorization token that we can use for authorization by using API of our app. So we just created registration in the app, and now we need to create a authorization. As I said, so let's create a new function named login, and here we will have also request variable because we need to get data from the post body, and we're gonna get all this all data also from the request by using validate function, but we're gonna get only email and password field. And now first I'm gonna try to out new user, so I'm gonna use out class, and I'm gonna type here that if user not authorized, so I'm gonna use attempt function to authorize user, and I'm gonna create a credentials credentials array. Oh no, I don't need this array. I need just to rename this to credentials. Okay. And I need to type here credentials variable. And if user is not authorized, I'm gonna return response. For example, like I'm gonna type here error something wrong with the login credentials. Yeah. And if user is authorized, we're gonna return to this user login token. So to do this, I'm gonna type here user out user, and now I'm gonna create a token variable that will create a new token as we did this in register function. And I'm gonna return here new response without code, and I'm gonna return current user and token. And let's also don't forget to import here out class. So out class, this is eliminate support facade out. Okay, great. And now let's test this function. So let's go first to the api.php file, and this function will have also own route this slash api slash login name, and we're gonna type here out class, and we say that we want to call login function when we go to the slash login route. Okay, so now let's open Postman again and let's test this function. So now I'm in Postman, and that means that I can first delete this and I can make request to the API slash login. And as you can see, I'm using all email and password that I used in register. Okay, and now let's send this. Email is already taken. Looks like, yeah, this is strange because okay, I understood. Okay, I understood. I did one error in the validation. So here I need to remove this rule, save it, and let's get back to the Postman and let's try to send this again. So let's click send again, and as you can see, all works perfectly, and we get now new token for authorization that we're gonna use in front-end app, as I said. So now we created registration and authorization functionality for the app. That means that we now can go to the post model, and we can also create a post controller to creating a new. First, let's go to the post model, and here I'm gonna type protected fillable. So I'm gonna define fillable fields, and this will fields, it will be title field, content, image, and user ID. Okay, let's save it, and now let's stop local server of the app, and let's create a new controller, post controller. Okay, great. Oh, let's no, let's remove this and let's create it again. So first I want to type that this will be API, this will be controller for the API, so we're gonna create a CRUD, and this controller also will work with post model, and I want also type here request flag. That means that I need to create two different requests for the store. First, creating a new post and updating existing post. Okay, and yeah, okay, I understood. So I need to type here request, not request, or how I type this. Oh, request. Yeah, now it's work. Okay, so type this command like this. So in the end, type here requests and API, and also don't forget model flag. And if you now open post controller, you can see that we have for request, for store, and for update post, and that means so that we can now try to creating and working with post table. So first let's write code for the index function. So it will be really simple function, because here I want to return all posts that I have in database. We can also use here paginate function, but I want to use here post all function, and store. How store will work? We're gonna type here post, and it will create a new post by calling validated data from the request variable, and soon I'm gonna show you how we will validate all data inside this class, and we're gonna return post. Now let's go to the show. We're gonna go to the show function, and this will return just post update. Update will works the same as store function, but here I'm gonna type update. Okay, and destroy function, here we're gonna just call delete function, and I'm gonna return here empty response. Empty response, as I said, with 204 code. Okay, so I think that I type it here all codes correctly, and now we can go to the API.php. Before we gonna also write rules for the data validation in store and update function, I want to test these two functions, show index and show, and we're gonna create here new road, and we're gonna type that we want to use API resource. And before we're gonna create a new API resource inside API.php, we need also to import this controller, so I'm gonna type here post controller, and now I can go to the new API resource, and it's gonna be named post, and here I need to type that for this API resource responsible will be this class, post class. Okay, great. So I think that this will work now, so I'm gonna type php artisan server, and now I'm gonna open postman. Okay, and we can create a new tab, new request, get request, and I'm gonna type localhost API posts, and let's type here send, and as you can see there is nothing. Yes, that's okay because we don't have any posts in the post table. Okay, so now it's time to write code inside the store post request and update post request. Okay, so now let's open not post controller, let's open first request, and this is store post request.php, and here we need to type true. We're gonna soon write rules for the authorization, but for now let's only write rules for the fields, I mean data that we're gonna get from the post request. So first, this is title. Title is required field, and the type of this field is string. The next field, this is content, and this is also required field, and this is also string. And there is also another field, image, and here we can type no label because image is optional, and the type of this field is also string. So great. Now somebody can ask me, wow, but where is user ID field? Yeah, and now we're gonna write a new hook, prepare for validation, and here we're gonna get ID of the current user, and we're gonna type here ID of the current user in this request. So if you want to get the current user ID, we need to call here merge function. We open here array, and here we type user ID, and now we can define value of this field. So I'm gonna call user function, and after that I'm gonna get ID of the current user. So if user is authorized, we're gonna get current user ID and add this field to the post body. Yeah, okay, so that means that we can now test this store function, and we can also test validation, how this works. So let's get back to the postman, and let's create a new post request. So let's type localhost API posts, and as I said, it will be post request. Now let's create a new header, accept application JSON, content type application JSON. Okay, and now let's go to the body, and let's define values of the post field. Yeah, so first let's type title of the post, it will be lorem ipsum dot, and let's now type content of the post, and it will be, for example, maybe we can type here test the content, for example, or maybe you can type content of the current post, it will be content of this first post, and we can also specify image field, and it's not required, but we can just leave this empty. And now let's type send, and as you can see, this created a new post, and if we go now to the localhost API post and make here get request, you can see I get here two posts that I created, and this is post that I created just before. Okay, great. So that means that our store method now is working, and that means that I, for example, we can if I delete here content field, you will see here error because validation is working, and this is great. So validation is working and store method also working. Now let's move on to the update accessing post method. Rules of the update post request validation will be the same as we have in store post request. So I'm gonna just copy this, and I'm gonna paste this here, and also I'm gonna copy prepare for validate. I did here one error. This is not prepare for validate, prepare for validation. Now it will work. So also I need to copy this function and paste this here. And that's all. Now we can go to the postman, and first let's try to create a new post again. So content, and in the content I'm gonna write testing update. Now let's send it, and also you can see that this is not working because we are not sending the current user token. As I said before, you need to use user token for operations where authorization of user is required. So we can disable this for now. So let's get back to the code editor. Let's comment this, and let's go to the store post request, and let's comment also here this function, and let's open postman again. And now if I will try to send this again, you can see that this is working. Great. Now I can update this post. So I'm gonna type here current post ID, and I'm gonna type here put. Okay, and I can type, for example, here updated. Okay, and let's send this again. Then as you can see, cannot be called statically. Okay, so I understand what I did wrong. I forget that's update. This is not static method, and if you use update, you need to call this by using current post. Yeah. So now let's get back to the postman again, and now let's try to send this. And as you can see, this works. And if I will try to get all posts here, you can see that we updated this third post. Great. And now I want also try to get one post by using show method. So I'm gonna switch here to get method, and I type it here ID of the post that I want to get, and if I send it, you can see I get this post, data of this post. Yeah, and we can also try to delete this post. So I change here request type to delete, and let's try to send this, and as you can see, no content. That means that we just deleted this post. And if I try to get all posts, now you can see that this post was successfully deleted. So that's all for this lesson. Thanks for watching, and in the next lesson we're gonna start building our front-end part, and I'm gonna show you how we can write all validation rules, how this will works with tokens in our front-end app. And for now, that's all what you need to know about our app. So authorization and post control. So thanks for watching, and if you like this, you can subscribe and support my channel.